Hello you, and welcome back to this video, straight off from where we left off last, with all the components on the floor ready to be assembled, and then to adjust the seat height and width and update the firmware. Let's get to it. First up, we want to align the back and the front together so they easily drop into place. Now that's the key word here, drop into place, because if you force them, you'll bend the connections and then you've got nothing but a fancy looking seat. So as you can see here, you have these hooks and this metal bar, and they all need to be aligned and it will drop into place. So the connectors seen here and here can connect to each other and not break. I don't want to break my camera either. Right, let's move this around. It's the front facing the wrong bit. Move this over here slightly. We have these two silver parts here. They need to go over here on these hooks. Align and drop in place. Next up is the seat support. Like so. Lock that into place, and then the chair goes on top. First, make sure you unlock the seat here, and then pick up the chair and align the white marks with the black marks. Now the seat will have a slight wobble, but that is intended. It only wobbles when you're not sitting on it. That slight wibble wobble in the seat makes it easier for you to lift it up. And when you sit down, it's solid. Now it's time to take off this rather rugged cover and plug in the blue USB-C connection into this plug. Here's a little top tip for you. I found it a little difficult to push this plug into the socket. It was slightly fiddly, but I found if I applied pressure on the two clips either side of the plug, it went in a lot easier. Next, the yellow plug from the EV1's arm goes into the yellow socket, and then this chunky blue one goes into the chunky hole in the arm. All this can be found in the instruction videos online or in the manual. After those three plugs, it's time to clip in the armrest. I was having a little bit of difficulty here just because the wires needed pushing down into the armrest a little more. As soon as I did that, it clipped into place nicely. Up next, we're grabbing the screws. I think he came with some spares just in case you drop some, which is always handy, and you get this more accessible kind of Allen key to help put the screws in. And if you're not sure on what you're doing, there's a very handy playlist of instructional videos from Strutt. I'll link to those in the description below. Now, you may have noticed we've switched to voiceover rather than me presenting to the camera, and that's because I was absolutely exhausted by this time, taking on far too much, filming this and assembling everything. I just needed to get on so I could have a sit down. Let's not forget to put the seat lock lever down. It might be uncomfortable to sit otherwise. And here comes that nice bit of padding. Now here's a little bit of feedback to Strutt. This sticker on the backrest was horrible, very sticky and hard to get off. Now the backrest can just slot into these holes here. You have 3 different heights available. And finally, it's time to sit down. These are the accessories from the accessory pack. The EV1 comes complete with some accessories, including some sensor wipes, 2 stick-on camera covers, and a joystick converter. If you don't like the round one that it comes with, you can put a more traditional shaped joystick on top. Something to note about the sensor cleaning wipes, they recommend water-based and non-abrasive wipes. Do not use alcohol-based wipes on the sensors. These camera covers are not mandatory, they are there in case you want to guarantee privacy, although there is no privacy concerns with the chair. But if you want to cover the cameras up, then you have the option to do so. The covers may also be useful to prevent the camera lenses from getting scratched. And here is the joystick that comes with the EV1, and here is the adapter. When you're putting it on, you want to make sure that the switch here on the joystick fits inside the gap on the converter. When you're installing this, make sure that the wheelchair is definitely turned off, or you might be having a surprise. Once you hear that click, you know you're safe and secure and ready to use the converted joystick. and the switch should be accessible because it's inside the gap. Don't listen to me. If you look closely, you can see that isn't on properly and is in fact wonky. The EV1 also comes with this universal mount so you can clamp accessories onto it. It also acts as a handy handle, just in case you've got slightly nervous when driving. But this is not some cheap old plastic piece of rubbish. This is a 22mm metal rod on a metallic base. And the universal mount mounts here right on the arm of the chair. So let me see if I've got this right. Not only do you get these wipes and camera covers, you get these two LiDAR sensor covers for the front of the wheelchair and an armrest and screen cover, which by the way, these things are not thin, these are really heavy duty. And you get a joystick converter just in case you don't like the joystick that the chair has, along with a fast charger and a great battery and all the sensors and self-driving EV Sense. That's just amazing. You want to transport your wheelchair in the car? Tough, other manufacturers will probably say. You've got to go and buy our additional accessories to be able to do that safely. No, says Strutt. Here you go, have all this. We'll even throw in some water wipes, just to keep you moving. And a toolkit that goes underneath your seat, just in case you need to make any adjustments while you're out. Oh yeah, and I nearly forgot, here's some under-seat storage as well. Look at all that space inside this bag. It's quite roomy and it's a solid piece of kit, not just some cheap bag. Here are a few stickers too. After all that excitement, it's time for another sit down. This time we're going to do the software update on the chair. But first, let's remove some stickers. I enjoy this bit. It's really good fun. Now it's time to turn the EV1 on for the very first time. Once you've turned it on, you need to activate it with your mobile phone, internet connection required. Now I did find scanning the QR code slightly tricky because the iPhone didn't want to focus, but I got there eventually. Then you have to enter a PIN number you can find underneath the QR code on the EV1. And there you go, Bob's your uncle, you're activated. Let's get started with the rest of the setup. First off, we need to connect to the Wi-Fi. Since the activation was done through your mobile phone, this is the first time we used the Wi-Fi on the EV1. I had a tiny bit of trouble connecting to the network, but that was because my router is very modern and I needed to connect the EV1 to the more compatible Wi-Fi channel. As soon as I did that, we were ready to download the new firmware. Next up, we have to make the custom adjustments to the EV1, which will include the seat height and the seat width. One thing to note about the seat height is that if you have it on the lowest setting, the rear sensors will not work properly. That's because their field of view is limited, so the obstacle avoidance will not be as good as it could be, which I think isn't really a bad thing. It means that Strutt has given people the option of having the lower seat with a slight compromise. But what I've seen some people do online is to adjust the seat slightly higher than what they need so their feet are dangling slightly, and then they put some foam pads on the footrests, which means their feet are no longer dangling. This means that the seat is maybe slightly higher than they need, but the sensors are all working. So I think that's a good real world compromise. First up, we're going to need the tool set from underneath the seat, and we want the H3 tool. And we're going to remove these screws just here on either side, which will allow us to take this plastic cover off. 2 screws and it slides right off, not too bad. There's 1, make sure you don't lose them, and 2. Now we just need to unlock this and we can take off the plastic cover. Easy enough. Next up, we'll be removing these with the H6, which is this bad boy. Now that's what you call a screw. We've done this one, now it's time for the one underneath. These were quite tightly screwed in, so I found it a little bit difficult to get them out. We then raise it up to the required height, as advised by the sticker. For me, at 6'4", that's the 500 level. Then we put the screws back in and tighten everything up. Excellent, now that should be more comfortable. Well, at least with the seat on top. Now all we need is the cover to go back on again, which should just slide back over. and then we put these screws back in. Oh no, the screw at the other side made me stand up. I was enjoying my sitting down spell. And then we can lock it all back in place. Proper job. Now it's time to widen the seat.
You think let's make it bigger?
So we need to use the H5 tool from here. As you can see, there are 4 little screws here. We need to take them out and then we'll move the arm towards us and then screw them back in. While my big backside did actually fit in between the arms, I thought slightly more room would be more comfortable. Okay, so this is pushed in as far as it can go, which means it's on setting number 1, and there's 3 settings. We can put it out until the next set of holes are visible at setting 2, and we can put it out one more time until the next set of holes are visible, which is setting 3. But because I don't want to do all those screws again, I'm just going to put 2 diagonal screws in and then sit on it and see what it feels like after I've done the second arm. 2 screws sounded far too much like effort. In fact, I think I'll just put 1 screw in to hold it in place on each arm, and then I'll know if it's comfortable or not. Now to take out the other 4 screws, but I won't film that. So I'll see you again when I'm ready to sit down to see if it's comfortable. So I've set the arms to where I think they'll be comfortable, and now it's time to put the seat back on. Just remember that the little strut tag goes at the back and it also says back on it. Let's put the leg rest down and we'll have a well-deserved sit. And I think this feels quite comfortable. I don't feel like I have to squeeze myself into the seat, but I feel like I'm being held in place as well, which when you're on a chair on wheels, that's a good thing. And I'm quite surprised I haven't gone for the widest setting either. In fact, I'm on the middle setting, which is quite pleasing.
Good for you.
And with the seat on the highest setting, my legs feel just right. Next up for me is the test drive, which I think I'll do in another video. And to make sure you catch that, please give the video a like and subscribe and don't miss out. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day. Tatty bye. And that first ride video will be out very soon. In the meantime, if you fancy a test drive of the EV1, be sure to scan the QR code on the left of your screen now. Or if you fancy 10% off, which in the UK is £599.90, then scan this QR code instead. Doing either of these helps me out a great deal by giving me some credit in the Strutt store to spend on accessories and costs you absolutely nothing. In fact, it saves you money. More details can be found in the description. See you very soon and tatty bye.